27 hours, a third-year medical student, and an hour and a half of sleep. Let's go. Hey, welcome to my first 27-hour call shift on general surgery. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what I did on my call shift, and actually I'm going to have clips from 2 call shifts so that it's not repetitive, so you can see a little bit what happened each day and it keeps it more interesting. So for my call shift, I woke up at 4:30, got up, had breakfast, went through my devos, and then got dressed and headed over to the hospital so that I could be ready and writing notes on the patients that we're going to be seeing around 6 a.m. For breakfast, I keep it simple, bacon and eggs and a cup of coffee, but I don't always finish. And I try to leave home already dressed in scrubs so I don't have to find somewhere to change at the hospital. Now, general surgery is a very busy service. It's the ACS, acute care service. And so we have to show up there very early and start rounding around 6 a.m. because the attendings and the senior residents have ORs that usually start early in the day. So we want to round on all the patients, or as many as possible, so that the senior resident can go and start performing surgeries. And that's why sometimes wake up at 4:30 or earlier if needed.
All right, just park the car, walk into the hospital.
So as soon as I show up at the hospital around 5:45 a.m., the residents are taking handover from the night team where they're being updated on everything that happened overnight for the patients, while myself and my classmate head upstairs to the 7th floor and we start preparing our notes on each patient. So we have a patient list, 30 of them, and we alternate every other patient. We're responsible for preparing the note. And what that looks like is that we go through the nursing notes to see any updates. We look at the flow sheets, which shows us their vitals, their urine output, their Foley outputs. We look at their microbiology, so if they got a culture swab, and then we look at their radiology report to see if they had an x-ray or CT, and if that was reported, we have a result for the doctor.
All right, so I have the patient list. I'm gonna go up to 7th floor and prep some notes for when the residents come up, and then we can already start rounding and then have some notes prepped. It's gonna be a different day. It's just 3 of us instead of like 5. Hopefully it goes smoothly.
And the reason why we do that all before the residents show upstairs is because we want to be as smooth as possible. We want to be fast. So as soon as the residents show up, we can already present and say, hey, this is patient so-and-so. They're post-admit day 6, post-op day 5 for this surgery, laparoscopic appendectomy, and so on. And then we go on to their vitals. This patient is AVSS, all vital signs are stable, or this person has hypertension for the past 3 days, or they're very tachycardic. And so we just kind of let the residents know what's happening so that they know what to expect going into the room. And then everybody goes into the room and talks to the patient. The senior resident is the only one doing the talking, where they ask, how is your night? Any nausea, vomiting, any bloating, any pain, and symptoms like that. And then they do a physical exam to assess the situation and see, is the incision dry, intact? Do they have to replace any dressings, or do they feel bloated? Do they have any tenderness? And so we do that for each patient, and rounding usually takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on how big our list, because it can go from 14 people to 35 people, depending on how many people need to be admitted.
Okay, so one of our patients got called a code blue on, and he had a cardiac arrest. They did CPR for about 20 minutes or so. It didn't work out. Patient unfortunately passed away. Now getting ready to go into a surgery soon.
Once rounding is finished, the senior resident will join the attending in the OR, and depending on the day, I might go or my other classmate might go so we can participate in the surgeries of that day. When we arrived at the scene, there must have been 25 people near the patient's room, and they had already started performing CPR. They did CPR for about 25 minutes, and unfortunately, the patient did not survive. It was very sad because we did not see this coming. We had seen the patient in the morning. There's nothing for us to suspect that this person would need CPR. We didn't know the cause at the time. I still don't. I haven't really followed up on it. But unfortunately, the patient passed away, and then the senior resident called the family, called the wife to update them. And this experience just goes to show you how fast life can change. And so it's really important. I didn't expect this video to be very kind of touchy at this point, but it's really important that you guys enjoy the presence of your family and your friends, and that you don't take any moment for granted, because it can be taken away at any point. One of the perks about working with the residents is that they actually earn money for what they do. And I'm not bitter about that. I mean, they deserve it, right? Like we don't deserve to earn money for 27-hour shifts. I'm not bitter. Anyways, they have money. And so one of the things about medicine, I guess, is there's this culture of pay it forward. So the senior resident who earns the most, and sometimes the junior, will offer to buy everybody on the team some coffee. So after we finish rounding, they say, hey, what do you guys want for coffee? They go to Second Cup, Timmy's, whatever's close by. And then we all grab a cup of coffee, we run through the list, and then split the task for the day and move on. So that's really nice. It's a good motivator for after a long part of the morning to continue going on. All right, I'm here with the news just for the vlog. I'm vlogging my 24-hour call. It's gonna be on the tube. On YouTube. He doesn't want to be on the vlog, but I'm just updating the people that did surgery today. Nuj and I saw 1 or 2 consults. We finished our progress notes. Now we're just chilling in the gen surge room, which is really nice because yesterday it was non-stop. We didn't have any downtime at all. So we're trying to enjoy any downtime we get, and then since I'm on till 9 a.m. Hopefully the night is calm and there won't be too many consults or surgeries. Surgeries are fun, but they hurt my feet. Like, you're standing for like 2 or 3 hours. Well, the surgery I saw today was actually a removal of the spleen. It was necrosed, and it was quite a long surgery, and there was some necrosis, a lot of blood. Anyways, Nuj and I are going to continue finishing notes. He's typing up some notes, and then finish off the day in a couple hours for him. I'm here till 9 a.m. So typically after handover, there's a couple of things that we can do. We either go to the OR or we stay on the floor and we take consults from the emergency room. We check up on patients on the ward. And so a lot of things can happen between that time, but there's a variety of cases that we see: acute cholecystitis, appendicitis, hernias, a lot of small bowel obstructions, and so on. You can look up all the GI things that are covered on general surgery. All right, so got handover and I have to do consult and emerge right now. So I'm heading over to do that. This is a patient with a hernia, so I'm gonna go assess the patient and see where the hernia is. So the patient I ended up seeing had a ventral abdominal hernia, and it was incarcerated. It means it's not reducible, where you try to push the hernia back and it just will not go back, so it's called incarcerated. So the treatment for this hernia was a surgical repair, and I believe they went on to perform a laparoscopic surgical repair for this patient. So I saw the patient with the hernia in the emergency, and it's only 7:04, almost 8 p.m. and it honestly feels like 11 p.m. in my mind and my body, because I've been here since about 5:50 a.m. So hopefully tonight's gonna be calm. I have good call karma. Every time I've been on call, it's been pretty chill, and everybody will be able to get some sleep. Tomorrow I get the day off to rest, maybe study, probably not, be tired. Yeah, right now I'm just doing some studying, reading some notes as I learn about patients. I try to read up on their what they have, so I can kind of study along with them. Towards later on the day, after discovering where my call room was, I headed downstairs to join the day team for handover to the night team. And because I was on the night, I already knew what the patients are doing, and I got to meet the new residents for me, a new team that I'd be working with. I'm up here, came to find my call room. All these are call rooms. This is the call room for tonight. Hopefully I will be able to sleep here, but I have a feeling that you don't sleep on general surgery. So let's hope for the best and prepare for the worst. I'm gonna take a quick break here and say that if you like these types of videos, then make sure to subscribe, like this video, drop a comment, please, for the algorithm, so that the algorithm can push it off to other people, other med students and pre-meds that would definitely benefit from these videos. I very much appreciate it. Now continue with the video. So my job as a medical student is to be able to go see the patient, take a very thorough history, which is actually pretty difficult, do a physical exam, examine the abdomen, palpate for any pain, look for discoloration, disformity, anything that I should be looking out for on the history, and then take that and synthesize a case to present to the resident the best way possible, so that the resident gets a picture of the scenario and can come up with a plan to treat the patient. All this is very hard to do in a smooth manner, in a very wholesome manner. I am still working on my history taking skills. Sometimes, actually oftentimes, I miss a lot, but I'm improving with each rotation and each patient interaction. One of the things I did want to say that I noticed is I'm a third year now, like halfway through through third year, and it is truly surprising to compare myself to my first year self. First year, fresh, didn't know much. I still don't know much. And in second year, learning more clinical skills, getting some more clinical experiences, and I felt really unsure of how to write a SOAP, a SOAP note, at the family doctor's office. And now I'm here at the hospital, and the residents can send me to go do a consultation, and I'm pretty capable of taking a good history, a decent history, getting their medications, social history, past medical, surgical, all that stuff, and then writing an impression. Still working on coming up with a plan. I find that's a challenging part, but it's very interesting to see the amount of growth that has happened over the past 2.5, 3 years, 3.5 years. So that's really cool. So if you feel like giving up on something, stick to it, keep putting the work in. You're going to improve, you're going to learn, especially in medicine. You see things over and over, challenging, but eventually it'll come to you. So I just came back from reviewing a patient with the senior resident, and I got a lot of information. I did pretty well in my opinion, but I did miss a couple of things. I missed things in past medical history, like diving deep into when things occurred, why it occurred, and medications, how you're managing it, what kind of medications, when was the last time you took such and such. And so working alongside the senior resident is really nice because he can point out my blind spots, and then I write that down, and the next time I'll remember. So the beautiful thing about working medicine is that you're always surrounded by people that know more than you, that have more experience than you. So you're always learning, always trying to fill in the gaps of knowledge that we have. Right now, I'm waiting for a call. I paged anesthesia. I have to consult anesthesia, and I have to consult thrombosis for this patient. So the residents are going to go into surgery. We have apparently 8 consults already, and I don't know what time it is, 9:30. Yeah, it's going to be a busy night. The really neat thing about the surgical rotation that everybody looks forward to are the practical procedural skills. And so I was able to do a couple of incisions, make the first cut on a patient. I was able to suture a lot and practice my hand tying skills, putting those knots together. And then also, this is neat because I haven't done this before, was putting trocars into a patient. So when you do a laparoscopic surgery, you need to make small incisions to put some trocars so that your portal for your laparoscopic tools can go into the patient's abdomen and you can do the surgery. I was able to make the incision, push the trocar through the abdominal wall, and then put our laparoscopic tools, the camera, whatever we needed through that, and help the senior resident. So I performed as a first assist. I was able to help in the surgery and take a lot of part in it. And that was a very enjoyable part of my surgical rotation. I just finished the consult from a laparoscopic cholecystectomy, and then I had to come up to the ward and assess somebody who's been experiencing increased nausea. Now I'm going to go back to the surgery room and let the doctors know that the patient's doing all right so far. I mean, she's still nauseous, but she's not that bad. You know how recently I just told you that residents buy us coffee? Well, when you're on call, the senior resident also buys you dinner, which is really nice. So the first night we bought something that looked like a sushi bowl. It wasn't sushi, but it could have been. Just need to wrap it in seaweed, and there you go. So that was really tasty. And then the second night we actually ordered sushi. So I'm really thankful for that they buy us dinner. It makes it a little bit more worth it to work really hard and more enjoyable. So after the appendectomy surgery was over around 12:30 at night, I had to go see a consult with the junior resident for perianal abscess, which is surprisingly more common than I expected, unfortunately. All right, so we finished a gallbladder removal. Now I'm going to start an appendectomy. I was able to put in one suture. I'm going to meet up with the team right now. Funny thing is that around 12 or 12:30, the junior resident bought us coffee because we needed the energy, and I took it. I drank coffee at midnight. So for the next 15-20 minutes, I took some time to finish up my consultation notes, and then I went to bed. All right, so it's 3:30 in the morning. Just finished seeing a patient with a senior resident, and I'm gonna type up the note really quickly and then go to bed. Hopefully no other consults come in and there's no surgeries planned. If I'm able to go to bed by 4 a.m., then I guess that's good. That means I have to be up by like 5:30
5:30, 5:15. All right, peace. Good night. Alright, so it's 5:30. I got about just under 2 hours of sleep. And I have to go print a couple lists for the team that's arriving shortly and then round until 9 a.m. with them. Then I'm free to go home. So I'm tired, a little groggy. My voice is a little raspy, but I was able to get at least an hour or so of sleep. Alright, so it's about 7:30 and I just finished rounding on about half of our patients with the team. We started rounding around 6, same as every day. And now the team's gonna do grand rounds, which is a teaching, and they sent me home. So back in my call room, I'm gonna change, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna sleep. So thankful for sleep. About an hour and a half past night, which is probably the least amount of sleep I've had in a long time, but I actually don't feel too bad currently. I'm sure I'll feel a little more tired later on in the day, but that's it for this call. It was great. Busy. It wasn't as busy as I thought it would be, which I'm thankful for, but it was busy nevertheless and lots to do. Never a dull moment. All right, peace. See you in the next video. Oh, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, share it with your friends so more people can discover what the life of a medical student is. Love ya.